Do you ever feel like leaving your house?
No. Why would I do that?
Exactly. I have to have a cute outfit.
Oh my God.
Because going out now is not just about like, it's about the pictures.
Hi, I'm the friend that RSVPs yes, but secretly wants you to cancel instead. Phoebe. And I'm Jacque. And welcome to Do You Ever Feel Like, where we ask the questions that everyone's thinking and forget to record our podcast intro.
Have our Cokes.
I don't remember what didn't work last time. Bitch, I got a Coke. I got a Coke after 5 p.m. I'm gonna run around my house. And you know what? I was making my Coke before we recorded, and I was like, how much ice should I put in here? It's gonna be so jingle jangly, but you know, a little bit of that ASMR is what I'm here to give for the people. So, you know.
Did you put in some lime?
Oh, fuck. I put in literally a whole lime. And it was really juicy too. Like it was a lime that was giving, not one of these like dusty old Canadian limes that we get from like way back of the pantry. You know, you get it, it's like a rock.
Yeah.
So, no, this lime was fresh.
Is that even a lime?
Yeah. That's like one of the funniest things I find about like traveling to places that grow these things natively. What was it? Like I had some pineapple in the Hawaii airport, in the Honolulu airport.
Oh yeah, you've told the people this I think before.
Yeah, and it was the like airport pineapple was like the best pineapple I've ever had.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's like, ew, what are we getting? Anyway, hi. How are you?
Hi. Hello. How am I? Yeah. It's been a weird time. It's been a weird time.
I mean, I feel like it's like asking, I feel like the world is like, it's, I remember asking that question in like May of 2020 and people just kind of stare at you like, like, I feel like it's, I mean, that question has always been insane, but I feel like it's like a similar vibe.
Yes.
Once again, of like, I don't know, just eyes bulging out of sockets is the yes. I know we're in like an audio format right now, but like, you know,
yeah,
eyes out, tongue out, no thoughts, no vibes,
no, yeah, truly.
So
it's been like, yeah, the last week it's been like a lot of emotions, very heavy time. Speaking of which, I have really not done a deep dive, to be honest, but have dove more into what I did not know about this crisis. And I have found a lot of really amazing resources, really amazing storytellers, really amazing activists that are, kind of filling in the blanks here. And I've collected a lot of stuff that I think we should share.
Yes, I think that would be a great idea. I agree. I've really I don't even want to, I don't know. I love people. I really do love people. Like I love people and I love artists and I love listening to everyone, you know, and I don't mean everyone like fucking right wing wackadoos. I mean everyone like I'm not listening. I don't mean like that. I mean like truly hearing the people, hearing nuance, hearing context, hearing on the ground, hearing personal. So yeah, I don't know. It's just been like a funny time. I'm constantly reminding myself and others that like in these like times of upheaval, like you feel crazy because it's not normal to look at pictures of your friend's brunch and then like photos of war.
No.
Like that's not normal for your brain. And we're
it's
all like, I don't know why I don't feel good. And it's like,
Yeah.
Girl.
Yeah.
Girl.
What are we talking about? What are we talking about? And here's the thing is like, this feels so like the same in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And so like not the same in a lot of ways.
Totally.
And I think like that has been really interesting. Like, not interesting. That's just been something that I've observed. It's disappointing in a lot of ways. Like the white women.
Yeah.
Women just came out of my mouth. The white people in my life who call themselves whatever, right?
Yeah.
Like are, the same people were around the table talking about, police brutality.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, this moment reminds me very much of George Floyd. This moment reminds me a lot of June 2020. A lot. And I agree. I'm like, oh, we just did it again, didn't we? We just did the same thing again.
It's like, and it's like, or there are people in my life that like, I don't know, they've been very, very vocal about Haiti or like very vocal, like, but I'm like, what, like, and I'm not even talking about the internet because that's a whole other thing, right?
Yeah.
I'm talking about like simply socializing right now with the people in my life. You know what I mean? And I want to make the caveat of white people too, right? Because that's it, right? Like, yeah.
I think you made like a great distinction on the Alexis episode of like, there's like what's happening in the world. And then there's what's happening on the internet. Yeah. And I mean, like, I know we know this, but like, actually, what metaverse are we talking about and existing in right now? Mm-hmm. Like, even, same thing. Like, with my friends, it's like, what are you where are you? Where are you speaking
Where
from?
are you?
What landscape are you in? Are you here? Are you there?
Yes.
Where are we?
Yes.
And I think that is like, again, like important. I don't know. Context? Because like context can't exist on the internet for some fucking reason. Like nuance can't exist on the internet. And I really think it has everything to do with it being like a flat object in your hands. Like we can't have humanity in the palm of our hands. Our brains can't even conceive of like the blue light radiating out of it, let alone compassion. So I guess that's a funny way to start.
It's a weird, funny way to start, but it's not a weird, funny way. It's not. It's the world, right? And like, like we're going to drop some resources. We're going to drop voices that you should be listening to, not ours, like
yes, and
chatting away about this.
That's fucking like, it, right? Like that's the thing I keep reminding my friends. I'm like, I'm not a journalist. I'm not an activist in the way that people are activists. I show up, I'm a body at a protest. I'm a donator. I'm not a politician. And not to say that I'm not as smart as any of those people, but I don't know. I feel like we've kind of conflated. We do a lot of, I don't know, conflating of roles in this world. And I think the internet has a lot to do with that. So I don't even know what I'm trying to say. I'm just trying to say I'm not trying to be as smart as any of those people. I don't need to write a book report at the end of this. I need to know in my heart that I am fighting for like truth, peace, liberation for all beings when I put my head down at night. And I was thinking about it this morning while I was making my coffee, and I was going, you know what? I haven't been doing that for anyone else, let alone myself. So I should probably like write a letter today. Like, that was a real thought I had while I was having, like, I was like, I'm not doing enough. I could do more.
Yeah, totally. And that's the thing too, is like, there is, I mean, I think there's a lot of listening. God, I hate these words. There's a lot of like listening and learning, you know what I mean? And I say that with that like condescending thing because it that's become its own thing, you know what I mean? Like,
I know.
yeah,
I
like,
know.
but I think if there are privileges that you and I have to be able to sit here and have this conversation and be behind podcast mics, right? And I think that we have to, we have to use that privilege with action. And so that's what I've been thinking about too. I'm like, okay, what can I do? And for me, that's been like looking at the galaxy of this thing and then like, what is the action coming from that?
I mean, even for me, it's been like, calling my friends, my Israeli friends and family, and fuck for that matter as well. Like you were at my house, I think the day that, Hamas threw the first bomb that at the festival. And I was just stunned. And again, Instagram, I do find it's just an interesting mirror, but it's like, one of my Palestinian friends sharing a photo of her grandparents, and then one of my Israeli friends sharing a photo of, missing children in his hometown, and then literally a photo of somebody's brunch. And like all of those things are true at once.
All those things are true at once.
I think that's the craziest thing that we're like contending with,
No, totally. And I've been really interested in that side of it too. I've been really interested in this idea of like, what is technology like doing when these things happen, right? Like it's there's so much grief, and there's like there's so much, it's really horrific and terrible, and there's also so much grief around like what could have been, what people should have known, what you know what I mean, that people are stepping into, and like it's
but yeah, it is a time. I don't know. I guess like, answering that question of, hi, how are you? You're like, I'm a citizen of Earth.
Exactly.
I'm a citizen of the world. I'm a citizen of the world.
Yeah.
We are recording after 5 p.m. and the children of my street are screaming outside. So apologies to the people for this. We're recording after 5 p.m., which is, we don't record this late ever.
No, ever.
And
so, Wild
and
West.
we have our Cokes out.
Wild
so true.
West.
We are in uncharted territory right now. How fucking wackadoodle and wild is it going to get? I have a story to tell you. That I was going to call you, and then I was like, no,
save it for the pod.
I got something for the pod. I have content. Ooh, baby, I have content for us all. This is how I live life. This is how I live my life. Not my problem. It's my therapist's. Anyway, so, because I've become very obnoxious and annoying, I've taken up running. And I love to run. Oh my God, these kids are screaming.
Oh, now I can hear them. You know what? Joy.
Is it? Anyway. So I've taken up running, and I'm very obnoxious and annoying about it, as I am with all things. I think, did I tell you this video? I did CrossFit for a hot minute, and I had to like stop myself because I was like,
you did tell me this.
I am already annoying. This could get really bad for everyone.
Yes.
So anyway, I've been really loving it. And yesterday, I was chatting with a friend the other day, and we were talking about, like, I was talking about some sort of trail, and I said, oh, do you feel safe running this specific trail? She was like, you're like a woman in the world running, which is like a very funny thing. I really do feel like, in a weird way, I have more eyes on me than I typically do out in the world when you're running. It's a weird thing. Anyway, but I was running yesterday, and I was like, end of my run, and a guy pulls up alongside me as I'm running.
You cannot tell me the story like this, Phoebe. Like,
no, I promise it's like, I should, like, a little bit of a content warning, but like, it's fine. It's fine. It ends very fine.
No. I don't even mean that. Nothing. Never mind. I did not realize this was going to include other people.
Oh. No, that's what I am. I'm an anthropologist. I'm a researcher. It's always going to include other people.
I'm a human in the world.
What do you think? I got like a hot run stat or something? I was going to
I have no idea. When someone talks about solo sporting, I don't think it's going to involve anyone else.
Oh, no. So I'm running and this car pulls up alongside me and I have my headphones in. And I don't know what the first thing he says to me is.
Right.
It's something. I have my headphones in. And then I hear nice pants. And he like looks at me, kind of waiting, expecting. And I just flip him the bird, whatever. And I had The Killers, all these things that I've done playing. And it was like right before it was music. Like, oh yeah, no, I'm this is the whole thing. It's a whole, I go on a journey. Yesterday, very specifically too, I was furious at the world. So I went for a run. Great vibes. Okay. So I had this killer song and then he says something else at me and he's pulling up alongside me and I just crossed an intersection and now he's perpendicular to me. He's like in front of me. Like pulls up alongside me and now he's turning the corner and he's like in the car with some other men and he's talking to me.
There's more of them?
Yeah. It's like this car full of men and I like flip them off. It was like 4 p.m. on a Sunday. I felt very safe in doing so and whatever. Anyway, it gets to the part where it's like, you know, the big build up where like they're like the whole band's screaming, right?
Yeah.
And I just start sprinting towards the car. As it's perpendicular towards me, and it terrified the living shit out of him that they like peeled off and like looked at me.
Wait, hold on.
Shocked. And I just did it because it felt good. Like I had no idea. And so I just start tearing off and I'm like running down the street and I'm not even really chasing the car. I'm just running. Like I'm sprinting as fast as I can for a couple of blocks. And it felt so good. And I was like, I screamed at the end of my block. It gets really fucking crazy when I go for a run. But it was just this moment of like, what I think is so funny of like these fucking men. You know, you go out into the world and like, you know, you and I have been women in the world for a couple of decades now. I probably don't need to explain this to our listener. You know, various intersections of privilege are at play and et cetera, et cetera. But like, it was like this one moment that I felt like, no, like you can't say that to me without you getting the unexpected back. And it felt like this like really funny subversion of, you know, the moment or whatever. Yeah. I always think it's kind of funny too when people do that to me of like, I don't know, I'm not going to. You can't just do this to me. You cannot just do this to me. I refuse. I will run at you.
It's interesting that you say that because you told me that you took up running for survival.
Did I say that? Oh, yes. I took up, it wasn't the 100% the motivation, but part of it getting good at it is definitely a thought I have is like, if I'm ever in a situation, I know I can run now. Yeah. Yeah. Like I ran a couple of blocks really fucking fast yesterday. I've never done that before and it felt stellar. And, the reason why I was going to tell you this is because it made me feel like, I was like, why do I feel so good? That Nicholas Palmquist, is that his name?
Oh, that is what you were saying. Okay, yeah. Yes.
It made me feel like
Nicholas
that.
Palmquist?
I can't remember his name.
The choreographer.
I will put like one of my favorite moments in dance in the show notes. But like that moment, he's got like this piece of choreography to that song where they just like all of the dancers like lose their shit. Like it's just like freedom. So there's not many moments in my life where I can say I've like experienced something like really like freeing like that. So running, man. And I've decided I want to do a marathon, so I got to figure that out.
Yeah, you do. I got to figure that out. Marathon is a commitment. Wow. Amazing.
Fucking men. Fucking men. They just love to just go out on a 3 p.m. on a fucking Sunday. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
The fact that we even have to be like, it was 3 p.m. on a Sunday.
Well, I was going to say to that same point, I think honestly, the most I've ever been harassed is during daylight hours.
Oh, for sure. Yes.
Like bright light.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
And I'm laughing because otherwise it's just so fucked up. It's so fucked up.
This is interesting, actually, because I want to talk about, well, do you have anything else to share with the people?
No, I think this is a good segue.
It's a great segue. It's a great segue. So I want to talk today about leaving your house.
Ugh. Wild.
And like,
I don't know if I know about it.
You don't know if you know about leaving the house? Yeah. See, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if I know about it either. And I think, I guess my question is, do you ever feel like leaving your house?
No. Why would I do that?
And so I think, okay, as all of our fucking conversations go, this is a very privileged conversation. Phoebe and I work from home. Phoebe and I have intersections and identities that make this conversation extremely privileged that we are about to have. And I just want to put that up there.
I'm a white woman living in North America.
Yeah, exactly. I have a beautiful, safe home. Yeah. I have access to the internet. I don't work an hourly job. Yeah. Or not even an hourly job. Literally, I don't work a job where I have to go somewhere. I don't work a job where I have a boss. Like, there are so many things that need to be put out there in the top of the conversation. Mm-hmm. But also, if you're listening to this and you're not brand spanking new, which I highly doubt at this point.
I mean, I do think it's funny when people
do you ever feel like
I think it's funny when we get like new listeners and they're like, I listened to the whole pod like a couple of weeks, like all your episodes. I'm like, insane podcast to binge.
No, that's like wild
podcast to binge. Yeah. I mean, like gold star. Thank you for listening.
High five. But, rate, review.
Yes, and while you're here, leave a rating and review. But yeah, I do feel like that's important to talk about because I do think we get questions sometimes about like who we are as people. We aren't just like, yelling into microphones. What is the context of the thing? Yeah, I'm a white woman living in North America. I I found the fucking lottery. Mm-hmm. There's like a great stat. I know I referenced it in our climate episode, but it's like, I think it's like if you have a house and like a phone and like running water and access to food, you're like in like the top like 10 percentile or something. You're like you're in the, like you literally have won the lottery. We're all, if you have this device in headphones in your head, like we are, it's incredible. Anyway. But yeah, no, I don't want to leave the house.
Yeah, no. So yeah, I'm saying that to start this out because I think it's important to share that. And then I also think it's important to say that I essentially do what I want when I want too. So not only am I like self-employed and I work from my house, but within that self-employment, and I don't always work from my house. Like I have to leave, whatever. But like, I begrudgingly leave my house, whatever. Like within that self-employment, like I'm kind of also deciding. Like I have a crazy amount, like of insane amounts of agency. Not insane. Yeah. No, I shouldn't say insane. Everyone should have this amount of agency. Recently I discovered that there are people, well, not recently, I would say like in the last since the pandemic. Okay. And we're going to take it back. We've got a lot to say about the pandemic, etc. But like since the pandemic, we've been, I think, socially having more conversations about leaving our home, being social, being in crowds, etc. Of course, right? Obviously. And I think what I felt like I had a kind of, again, like a very interesting experience during the pandemic because not that much really changed about my life, right? Like I don't know if I was really, I was questioning during the pandemic if I was feeling the same kind of social isolation that a lot of people were feeling, because I didn't really feel like I was that, I wasn't like outside my house that much. You know what I mean? Beforehand, I definitely grieved for, you know, community and like art and like, you know, all of that. But I most of my relationships are through my phone. And that is and most of my relationships happen on machines. And that is like something that I didn't actually realize is pretty, till recently, like pretty unique. You know, like I have a few, like one or two close friends that live within 20 minutes of my house, right? Like, and I have my husband, obviously, again, privilege. I'm in a couple, blah, blah, blah. I have my husband and I have like a few close friends, and like, I don't live close to my family. I don't like, I live hours and hours away from my family. I don't, you know, I've just recently been thinking about kind of like my kind of socializing and like what kind of happened for me during the pandemic, and now that we're actually technically still in a pandemic, but like coming out of it, kind of how that's shifting and changing. And I think I had relatively, like I had some social anxiety, like even before the pandemic. Yeah. But I didn't really have to deal with it that much because I didn't have to. Yeah. Again, agency. I don't have to leave my house if I don't want to, blah, blah, blah. Right. Pre-pandemic, I was working a job where I had to leave the house, actually. So maybe that's why I wasn't feeling that way. But like, I don't know. I feel like it didn't really like shift all that much. Or I thought that maybe it didn't do that much to me in my like social anxiety. Right. And now I'm realizing that this personality trait that I think that I've kind of like think is like cute about me, that I want to like be at home and like be cuddly, and I'm a home girl, and I want to read a book, and I want to watch Instagram videos about home decor, and I want to like make my home, actually might be like causing me some issues. You know
what? You know what I'm thinking of right now? I'm thinking of that stellar Gillian Anderson reel you sent me the other day. She's like being interviewed on some it was like a radio show.
God, that's
and she's
so
talking about people, this age of wellness that we're living in, and being told what to do, and the micromanaging of every aspect of your life for the betterment of quote unquote wellness. And let's just call it what it is. It's white supremacy. It's eugenics. It is capitalism. It is the darkest of dark parts of those things. And I think there is this moment in like, because I have the same, I feel you. Like, I feel you. I don't leave my house. It caused me great anxiety, and I will say, you know, definitely always had some social anxiety, definitely have always had some like, you know, catastrophizing of leaving the house kind of stuff. It is so much worse now than it was, you know, obviously pre-pandemic. And the answer to that for me has just been, and like I've talked a lot about this with my therapist, it's just like, yo girl, you got to go out. Like you got to go to a coffee shop for a bit. And so in this, like, I think there's like this thing of like, if you don't feel like it, don't do it. Or like, I'm tired, so I'm not going to go to the event. Or like, you know, this is self-care. Self-care saying no. Actually, sometimes self-care or doing the fucking thing is going to the store at 5 p.m. and getting a Coke because I told my podcast co-host that I was going to be on and available for this time, so I'm showing up for that thing. Like, actually, you know, it's really important for me to go to my friend's birthday party even though it's like past, or it's really important for me to go meet my friend's new boyfriend even though it's past a time that I don't usually go out of the house, or a thing I don't usually do, or I really like to sit on my couch all the time. Like, yes, I love to sit on my couch. That's a very important space for me to be in, and there's life. And I gotta live it. And I think this like home. I don't know what the Instagram cursive version of this thing. It's like homebody, or I think it's like wellness. I think it's like something under the guise of rest. I think it's something like that, of like, no, sometimes suck it up a little bit. Like,
yeah,
go do the thing.
Yeah.
'Cause it feels good, actually. Actually, are you, am I too tired to leave the house? Because I'm bone dead exhausted and me sitting on the couch would be really restorative to me, actually. Or do I want to sit on the couch because I'm a little bit uncomfortable with the social setting that I might encounter when I get there? Or it's a little bit cold outside and I don't know if I really want to walk that far, And on the other side of that moment of discomfort is actually connection, community, exactly. The things that really do fill me up, or a time that I get to look at my boyfriend, across the table or from across the room, like things like that. So I think there is so much more, I don't know, what is it? Like, it's so much more fulfilling, especially when I've pushed through a little bit of I don't want to. I'm like, oh, actually, I do love going out to restaurants. Yeah. Actually, I do love sitting in a cafe and just not working and just people watching. Or like, I work at a shop a couple, like, once or twice a week. And part of the motivation for that was genuinely leaving the house. Yeah. Like genuinely leaving the house, like talking to people. And that is something I'm tired at the end of the day. Yeah. But in a way that I know I need to be. Especially if I'm going to be somebody that makes art. Artists can't just sit in holes all the time.
No. Yeah. Yeah. I don't like that, but no. Yeah, exactly. Like, I think it's been like the year of me realizing like, oh, wait, actually, this isn't like a quirky trait. Yeah. Like, actually, when your therapist was suggesting earlier this year that you go sit in the park for 20 minutes, that was literally like exposure therapy. And like, I am just now kind of connecting this in my brain, right? Of like, oh my goodness, because I really noticed I've had a rough go of it in general in life lately, but like, it's been like, I have to get myself to leave the house. Like, yeah. And I'm not talking about, okay, because this is what I want. I think there's many versions of this, right? Like, kind of what we're getting into is like going to the shop, going to the park, seeing the other person in the cafe, et cetera, et cetera. For me, it's not so much going and running to the coffee shop. It's not so much going and running errands. It's not so much like I need my morning walks. I'm so excited to get out of the house in the morning. It is really for me about my like social interactions with other people that I know and love or don't know at all. Yeah. Right. So I think, like, I want to know, here's what I really want to know from you, Phoebe. Like, when we're talking about socializing, what is going out for you? Like, your friends, your boyfriend, your family, they want to go out with you in the world. What is that? What does that entail? What does that look like for you?
I guess it's like, this is probably the late 20-something answer in all kind of things where, oh my God, going out used to mean club.com, girl. Like, going out was, you could catch me at the club Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday with my glitter eyeshadow on. I would leave my house at midnight. And here's the kicker. I would go to an office job. I would go waitress. Oh my gosh. And then I would go out dancing. And then I would take my drunk ass home at 2 a.m., go to sleep, wake up and go to work. So I think a part of I think part of maybe like staying home or going out or whatever is like, you know, some of my my friendships have changed a lot. I'm so fucking grateful. I was having, you know, an afternoon with my 2 oldest girlfriends the other day. And I was just thinking, I was like, you know, we're sitting around drinking mulled wine, doing crafts on a Saturday afternoon. And I was like, could you imagine if you told like even 25-year-old us or like 17-year-old, they would be like,
yeah,
what? Like,
I know.
So I am grateful to grow up with my friends. And then certainly, you know, some of my friendships have changed because those social interactions have changed. You know, a huge one being like, I really do not drink much. I think the most drinking I've done in like within the last year has happened within the last couple of weeks, where I've had more than one glass of, not even more than one. I just mean I've had more than one glass of wine this month.
It's the holiday season.
Yeah. Like not even at a time. Not even at a time. So I don't know. I think it's kind of funny to answer this question because I had to. Well, one, I stopped going to the club because there were no clubs. Like there were no clubs. My clubs are gone. Yeah. You know, and that was part of the pandemic and stuff. And oh gosh, I really don't think. I think I'm starting to realize now how fucked up we all are from those parts of it still. Like you know, you can't heal from something when you're in like the middle of the wound, right? And there's so much space that we lost in every kind of way. Like someone asked me a bit ago, they're like, oh, do you have a recommendation for a dance studio? And I was like, all of the dance studios I know are gone. You know, just like things like that. Like we've lost so much space and gathering or whatever. Anyway.
Oh yeah, we definitely lost. Lots of space.
And it's so much. It's so changed. Or like, you know, I have friends that are like moving to the city now, and they're like, "Where should we go for this kind of dinner?" And I was like, I could have told you 4 or 5 years ago, you know, where the cool wine bar was or something like that. And I don't know where that is anymore because one, it's gone. 2, I don't go out in the same way. So I don't know. To actually answer your question, if I'm gonna go out, I love a meal. I do love a meal.
Okay.
With friends, I think I've noticed. Going out to me could be over to a friend's house. I think I've noticed I really need a clear intention of the evening. And that has really allowed me to enjoy my friendships so much more by saying like, hi, let's go for a coffee and I want to hear about this thing going on in your life. Hi, let's go for a hike on Saturday afternoon and discuss, you know, I want to have a conversation, like being really intentional, or like, you know, maybe it's not so specific like that, but like, you know, or like, you know, with my girlfriends, like it is, I do really love, we pick a craft. That's like our kind of joke. We're like, oh, we're just gonna go through every possible hobby that we can possibly do together. And like, that's the intention of the gathering. So that we can have like those deep, meaningful conversations, and not just like be in maintenance friendship mode all of the time. I think going out to me really is more about my friendships and what I value in them now, and less of the going out of it all, you know, and less of the like, you know, what's the hot new like club, restaurant, bar, or whatever that we're going to tonight. And instead, you know, like how am I gathering with my people, or, you know, or my boyfriend or my family or whoever it is. And that I've gotten so much more out of that. I feel really fulfilled in my relationships right now in my life because I'm really clear and very specific about like what, not just like what I want, but like what do they want? Like what would feel good for you to right now? Like let's not just, you know, hey, whatever, at whatever time, at whatever place. Yeah. Like what do we want? So
I think that's such an important question to be asking as like we gather again. And that's like, and that's part of what I'm learning that I need too, is like intentional time and knowing the expectations of the time, right? Together. And I think obviously we're kind of touching on a lot of things. Like people grow up they change. Like adult friendship changes.
Yeah.
People might have families, like et
Yeah.
cetera, et cetera. And I actually think that going out and the labor of going out, which like is kind of why I'm bringing this on to the pod, is like different for everyone.
Yeah.
And I actually,
yes.
And I think there is this kind of socialized like, oh, we're out and we're having fun, and therefore we must make the best of the situation, or we must all be grateful to be here, or like we've been able to reschedule and schedule this 7,000 times, so like we need to make the most advantage. Like, do you know what I mean? Like there's this kind of like, well, you're out, so you should be fun.
Yeah.
Right? Or that should equal something, right? Like, and I think everybody is coming to this I keep saying post, but it's not true. This like transitional pandemic time really differently. And also people are coming into social interactions very differently. Yeah. And also somebody has a kid and it took them 5 babysitter calls to find a sitter, and somebody has this and that. And so I really think that I've been really examining this. Like what did we all have to do to show up and be 3D present people in front of each other right now? And like not taking that for granted, because I have been. And so I think there's this really amazing quote in Twyla Tharp's newest book. Again, bring out your bingo cards, I guess. Twyla Tharp's newest book.
Truly.
Like, truly, we're just talking about dancers today. Community and movement, being together, rooms, like, I don't know, bodies together in space is probably why our brains are going to dancers.
I mean, I really think, it's funny, I had this thought earlier today, but I really think like dance, bodies has like it is a language we all speak. Like, it's a language we all speak, whether or not we like call ourselves dancers or not. Like we all have a way to move and be with each other in the world. So I think that's why part of it. Anyway, Twyla Tharp.
Yes, Twyla Tharp has this line that when I read it was incredibly triggering to me. Like I was like, I don't like this. And I was like, I had to like, Brene Brown talks about how when she gets triggered by a book, she throws it.
Yeah.
Probably referenced that before too. Another bingo. But yeah, like I just was like, oh, I don't like this. And the quote is something like, I keep most of the commitments that I make. And I was like, I was just like, I don't know, that just made me feel like, and I had to like examine that. And I examined that because I don't make most of the commitment. I don't keep most of the commitments that I make socializing. I'm noticing that when I say that I'm hoping someone will cancel, I really mean that. And like I'm making the plan hoping someone will cancel. Like it's in my brain. And I think I've kind of played it off, right? As like this part of myself that falls into this place on the internet, right?
Totally.
Which is like, what, totally. Like, and I think that it's really doing a disservice to myself and the relationships that I have to show up in the world that way. Yeah. Because I think what you're saying is true. Like at some point, it's like exposure therapy, go to the park, get the Coke, do what you need to do.
Suck it up.
To like suck it up.
Like there is a little bit of sucking it up that needs to happen sometimes.
Yeah.
And I think that for me, the sucking it up comes from a place of like, I have a headache, but it's been 4 to 6 weeks since the last time I saw, people that are really, really important to me.
Right.
And,
of course. Yeah.
And it's if I cancel, it'll be another 4 to 6 weeks. And that's not fair of me to just check on somebody else. And, barring emergencies, barring,
right.
But I don't even like that I have to fucking say that, like I also know that if I canceled on people that I really love and trust, they would very much understand that. And I feel grateful to surround myself with people like that. But if for them to give me that trust, I need to show up with that same trust and like expectation of them, you know?
Yeah.
And so like we are all meeting maybe with headaches, but we are meeting and we are together, you
Exactly.
know? And
yeah.
I do feel like that is really important.
This is making me think of, if you want to go back and listen to, do you ever feel like you cancel everything all the time? This is kind of a very similar kind of point. And I think that was kind of what we got to in that episode of like, you know, it's either it's either like be on the same page about canceling. Like, are you someone who also is hoping the other person cancels? And you all
I would
can share
probably
that.
say that people in my life socially are like, oh God, like,
right? Or it's like have very clear intentional expectations of your time together, right? And
be honest about what your capacity is too. Like a friend asked me to a 9:30 movie the other night, and I went, "Who the fuck do you think you're texting right now?
Exactly,
You're
like who
delusional."
are you talking to? Yeah, exactly. I think part of like the commitment thing too is to ourselves too, and I think that has been the hardest part for me to realize that this is not about other people. This is about me. And the reason that I'm not fostering or keeping my commitments or whatever. This is about the level of self-respect and love that I have for myself. And I have to look at that often, right?
Like when it's actually lying on the couch, like maybe like self-harm.
Yes.
In a sense.
Yes. And when is it making what I already deal with my anxiety, right? Worse.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I was going to say is like honoring yourself and honoring your commitments also looks like not making the commitments if you don't have the capacity, right? Like it is looking at the intentional time of the commitment of the going out, but it's also not doing it if you don't really have the capacity. Because I think oftentimes I'll do that too, is I'll be like, oh, I'm going to be a really good person now, right? I'm going to be a really good friend. And so I have this dinner and this going out and this hike and this blah, blah, blah. And I'm like checking the boxes of my relationships. And that doesn't feel good either, you know? Yeah, I think, is there anything else that comes up for you when like, you know, you hear, let's go out? Someone comes to you, let's go out. Let's meet up. Let's go out. Let's hang.
I think I feel a certain, oh man, there's like a lot. What comes up for me when someone says, let's go out is fear. Is fear of like, of a couple of different sorts. One of them, you know, drinking is like a whole thing. And I think this is genuinely its own episode. I feel like I let some people in my life down now by not being, only because I feel like not drinking and being a vegan are like very similar, and that like if you say
are no fun, Phoebe.
Well, not even just that, like it's a judgment on the other person for not doing something. Yeah, that's what it is. It's yeah, and oh fuck, you know, that sounds like a boring person on paper as well, right? But like if I'm saying no, I'm just gonna have like a glass of soda water, which also, by the way, fucking restaurants have a mocktail option. Oh my god, it's the year 2023. It's fucking embarrassing to go to these places and like.
We're really doing mocktails well over here. We've got quite
I would say most places do, but then I will go to a place where they don't have a mocktail section, and I'm like, what are you doing? Yeah. Like, it's ridiculous. Yeah. For, like, many reasons. Anyway. So, yeah, I think that's maybe part of it. And then, like, the other part of, like, is I mean, fuck. Okay. Here we fucking go. I know we're at the end of our record time. I feel an expectation to show up a certain way that only I have put on myself. And I know that.
Yes.
I am a version of myself that, you know, is probably no longer available because I'm not 25 anymore. And I can't go to a fucking Pilates class and drink a bottle of wine and like go to work. don't want to go to an office, and I don't want to drink a bottle of wine anymore. I just want to go to the Pilates class, please. But I don't know, maybe there's a in between something. I feel like there is a version I have to go and perform, and I know I am so fucking exhausted from performing. I've been performing for 29 years of my life now, and I'm so tired from it. And if I do it for another 29 years, I could probably could go for another 29 years and another 29 on top of it. And then I will not be a human woman anymore. I'll be something horrible, just a gremlin. Yeah. And I am so not committed to performing. And it's a constant battle for me. What I feel like I'm really talking about is masking.
Right.
And, like the social dance of it all. And like, when am I doing it? When am I not? When is it fine? Sometimes it's helpful. Sometimes it keeps me safe. Sometimes it's, whatever. And so I feel like it's letting somebody down if like the version of a certain version that they expected doesn't show up. And I think that's where being clear with the intention of why we are gathering is really important to me, so that fear does not, the fear is there, but then I just ask the question about boundaries. So that's what comes up for me. When someone says, let's go out.
Yeah. I also think like when you like a lot of my relationships happen in my phone. I know that to be true. I also know that a lot of my socializing happens in my work. Like I am talking to people all day. I am learning about people all day. I'm like, you and I have an event that we've worked on, like whatever, like that is a whole like battery, like a social battery, you know what I mean? Like, so I'm thinking about that too. And like, how do you show up in those spaces, protecting yourself, protecting things you need to be able to like then be going out with friends or then be whatever doing, what you want to be doing. I think, I really relate to fear. It's like, I really relate to that. Like the fear of like, I'm going to let this person down if I'm not,
whatever the thing is. And whatever that is fully my own fucking
same
made up crap. Like, I know that.
Okay. So do you know how, there's this trope. I don't know. There's like this, like trope is probably not the right word, but we talk about this a lot. This idea of like, when you're out at a restaurant and you're looking at a couple and they're not talking, right? And we talk about those two people at a table in a very specific kind of way, right? Like usually there's judgment around that, right? There's like, oh no, there's something wrong with a relationship, or like, do you know what I mean? Do you know what I'm talking about?
100%,
that thing
100%.
Yeah.
Well, and yes.
And I've heard a lot of people be like, yeah, that's when I knew my marriage was over, when we didn't have anything to say across from the table. And then I've also heard a lot of people that are like, it's my favorite thing in the world to do is to be across from my partner and not say a fucking thing.
I was going to say, I think that there is a difference between not having anything to say. There's different kinds of silence, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And how we experience silence is very different. It's funny you say this. Simon and I had a date in the calendar on just like last Friday. And I like met him downtown. And the restaurant that we're going to, we like didn't have a reservation or anything like that. And the lady comes, she's like, I can give you 1 hour at this table, probably less. Can you be out of here before 7? And we're like, hell yeah. This is a ramen place. It's raining outside. I want to get back to the couch where we do belong. And we sat and we slammed a bowl of ramen. Yeah. And then we left under the allotted time that we were there. And it was a lovely, gay old time, And so I think again, like, that was a moment of, we have a date in the calendar. I'm going to honor that. I was tired.
Yeah.
You know, it was raining out. It was cold.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know. The 24 hours had passed since the intentions had been laid, whatever, you know, like all these things.
Yeah.
But I went, and gosh, we had a lovely time.
Mm-hmm.
In what, I don't know. I don't know. I think, it's like how as individuals do we want silence? I will say one of my favorite jobs I ever had was working at a board game cafe, and we would get a lot of dates in there. And I as a barista and server at this board game cafe, I don't know. You can tell. People always know what the silence is. You can.
Oh, I think there's quite a difference between that silence. Yeah, for sure.
I've seen many a silence as a waitress. Yeah.
Right, exactly, right? Like, is this intentional silence? Do we understand the rules of this gathering?
Are we opting in on the silence, or is the silence thrust upon us?
Yes, exactly. Are we opting in on the silence? And like, there is a closeness about being able to show up in expectation and an intention with your people in our lives that can only really be there if we're vulnerable, you know?
I don't know. Final words. How are you going out? How are you maintaining the going out?
I really agree with what you're talking about. And what I'm pledging to do is to have the conversations that I'm scared to have.
Yeah.
You know, and to get the boundaries and the vulnerability out there and say, what is the point of this time together, right? Like, how are we going to be intentional? Because I think that that's better for everyone. Because when someone says to me, let's go out, I feel like there's so much to figure out in that.
Oh my God. Yes. Oh my God. Yes.
Like, suggestion. And so, like, yeah, I think that's what it feels like to me. It feels like fear. It feels like a lot to figure out. It feels like, what are we wearing? Like, what?
Oh my gosh.
Like,
oh my God.
Like,
don't even. That's just the tip of, where are we going? What? Okay, let's just, I mean, I have a friend who sends me her booking link whenever we're making plans. And I genuinely deeply appreciate that.
Yes.
I genuinely deeply appreciate that.
Yes.
And I wish, I mean, we make the joke all the time where I'm like, I need like personal assistance to like figure out the thing, or like, oh, I could do this. I could do this specific thing at this specific time, but I couldn't do this other thing at that same time. You know, like I do. There's so much in planning it. So, and I will say this. Okay, no, wait. Let me back up. You're pledging to have the card conversation.
Yeah, I'm pledging to. Someone says, okay, Jacqueline, I miss you. Like, let's hang out. I want to see you. Oh, I'm pledging a couple different things. That's the first thing I'm pledging. And me being like, okay, great. You know, just being a little more intentional. How do I want to feel? How do I want to see this person? What's the point of the time? Those things. And then also, I'm a codependent. So I over schedule. Like I am the one all of the time that's asking to do the thing.
Yeah.
Like, you know, so for me, I think it's also about like, what happens if I stop doing that, actually?
Yes.
Like,
and
who's
I think that is that
coming
trust
to me? You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, because the only reason that I'm doing that is because I think if I don't, that I'm not going to have this person in my life. You know what I mean?
I will say, as somebody who has always been in any kind of social group, the like planner, the like mom, you know, I'm the mom. That's how we like make it cute, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And not deeply fucked up.
Yes.
Is like, it's uncomfortable, but I'm like, okay, I'm not going to be the one that makes the plan. I'm not going to. And I will let you know when I'm free. And this is not true necessarily anymore, but I had to go through a period of that where I'm like, I am not going to control the situation. Or if I'm being invited over to somebody's house, I'm going to trust that they're going to give me the relevant information I need for that gathering, you know?
Yep.
And like not micromanage the situation.
Yep.
I'm going to pledge. I like that we're ending with a pledge. I like that we're ending. It feels very Twyla Tharp of us. If we're going to just like Twyla Tharp all day, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to pledge to put another date in the calendar while I'm with the people.
Oh, yes. Brilliant.
Like, I'll
Brilliant.
do that face to face, not in the group text, because the group text becomes hell.
The group
and
text
it's not
is hell.
It's not anyone's fault aside from the medium of these blue and green bubbles.
Yes. Yes. Oh, that is beautiful.
Yes.
Yes, that's a really good thing to pledge.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, great. We have our pledges. This is great.
I like our pledges.
This is great. And you know, like I'm an overachiever, so now I'm like naming another one. But I also think that I'll give you a gold star no matter what. Great, thank you. Showing up, however, I like freaking feel like, yeah. Because most of the time, this like, oh my gosh, this dread, right, is that expectation of like, I have to put makeup on my face, and I don't like wearing makeup. I have to have a cute outfit. Oh my God. Because going out now is not just about like, it's about the pictures. It's about the evidence. It's about the curation of the thing.
Yes, it is. And so by God, am I going to get the fucking picture? Like we should pledge the moment.
To get the moments. That's another good pledge. To get the moment.
Actually,
get
it's so
the picture.
Funny. Literally on Wine and Craft Saturday, we were taking a photo of the beautiful spread that my friend Heidi had made for us. And then she thought it was hilarious that we were taking photos of the food or whatever. And she was taking photos of us taking photos of food. And I was like, this is the moment. This is women talking. Yeah. This is women talking.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so we have our pledges. What are you going to pledge, listeners, when it comes to socializing?
Yeah.
Building more authentic, vulnerable spaces together.
I think this is ultimately about connection, when we go out. And I will say this. About you, my dear friend Jacqueline. I am genuinely impressed by the number of intimate, long-distance relationships you have in your life.
Yeah.
That is a lot of work. I have one of those. It's you. And it's far too much.
I know. Yeah. I've moved a lot.
I
And
know.
I've had many chapters. Yeah.
Yeah. And I am genuinely impressed about that in you. And I don't know, like, let us all just give ourselves breaks. We don't need to have all of the things.
Of course. Of course. Yeah. I have a mental health condition. Like, I think that's another thing too, is like, this is what I mean of like, I'm like, oh, no, I'm not an Instagram reel. I'm a 3D human person that like is sometimes very much suffering from something in my brain. Like,
exactly.
And like, so grace for sure. And also get off the fucking couch and suck it up. Like,
well, I think both of those are the exact same thing of don't fucking tell me, as Gillian Anderson said, don't fucking tell me what to do.
Yeah.
Because that is not wellness.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to put that in there. I'm going to put this clip in here because it was that good.
It was really good. All right.
That girl.
May we all be Gillian Anderson.
I don't want to be Gillian Anderson.
Oh, I know what you want to do.
I want to be inside Gillian Anderson.
I know. Oh, I know.
I turn into a man. An old man.
With like the older ladies, you turn into a man, you mean?
Yeah.
Or specifically Gillian Anderson.
Yeah. I'm like, hey, baby. Like, I'm a hey, mama.
Yeah.
Fucking hell. Anyway, I need to go. The coke's really hitting right now.
All right.
The coke's kicking in.
God bless
do people
Simon.
need to know literally anything other than I'm a pervert?
Who runs towards pervert? Okay. I don't think so. Check out the resources. We always leave
check out the resources.
And, rate, review.
Send this. Here's my ask. Dear listener, if you've made it this far, send this. Wait, it doesn't need to be this episode because I'm not sure what the quality of this episode is like.
Oh.
Send literally send your favorite episode to a friend right now. If you're driving, don't text and drive. Don't be Jacqueline. Be Phoebe. Be terrified of the law. Do they have distracted driving laws in the U.S.?
Yes.
I was thinking about that. Okay,
Yes.
well, you're extra fucked. All right, anyway. Don't be Jacqueline. Be Phoebe. Be terrified of the law. Pull your car over at a appropriate parking lot. But if you're walking down the street, maybe in your work from home girly pop, open up your phone. Select your favorite episode. Send it to a friend and say, let's talk about this the next time we have coffee together.
Intention.
Amen. Intention. Okay, we love you all. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Bye. Thank you for listening to Do You Ever Feel Like?
Follow This Chaos wherever you get your podcasts.
Our artwork is by Simon Peng. Do You Ever Feel Like is produced by Jacqueline Wills
and Phoebe Taylor. You can follow us on Instagram at doyoueverpod.
You can write to us at doyoueverpod@gmail.com. Okay, bye!